Hello everyone, and welcome back to Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. Today, after last week's, or I don't exactly know when I'm going to publish this, but after last time's New York, we are going to move to the first real standard type battleship, the USS Nevada. We're going to have a slightly different layout and some minor changes, but let's see how far we can get her. I think she was about 27,500 tons empty. 28,500 is the smallest we can make. And that is the same displacement as the New York was having. At least we don't have to manage to fit 5 turrets onto this thing, because the Nevada actually only had 4 turrets. But given that we once again can't really fit, can't really get a cage mast, which would have been sort of the thing that sets all these apart, and I don't want to put that monstrosity on there. We might just again go with the relatively simplistic tower, forward tower here. Yeah, that's what we'll take, because they really were pretty flat ships, with an armored conning tower, low armored conning tower before the main guns. So let's start out with the main guns. We are going to actually have a triple 14-inch that we are going to put forward and aft. And then we're going to have a super firing set of twin 14 inches for a total of 10 guns. So given that our New York only gets 8, we will actually be a little bit better off than the New Yorks. And for that we are going to need a barbette. And why can I not fit any of these barbettes? That's a medium barbette. I would need to fit that in front here, please, game. Okay. Standard superimposed barbette. Why can I not fit any barbettes in front? Okay, do I need to move the conning tower back? There. Let's try that again. Oh, there we go. It just doesn't show the highlighted markers. Okay. Oh, actually, I don't need to put a forward barbette. That's why. Because the ship already has one built into the hull. It's right there where for some reason some lifeboats are sitting. So we can put the 14-inch twin barrel right on top of that. And once we move the superstructure out of the way. So let's do that. 14-inch twin go there. And we do need a barbette for the stern. That's where we go. Standard barbette on the stern. And we can duplicate the twin and put them up there. And that is reasonably straightforward. And from a side profile, does not look completely silly. Although I did use lower barbettes, I think, last time. But I think the two guns are sort of aligned here, height-wise. So that works out. Secondary tower would have been the cage mast. So we'll put a slightly better cage mast onto it for now. And then we were talking single funnel. So let's put the... that's a funnel with a watchtower. I don't think she had that. Let me check the profile one sec. No, there would have been a crane in the middle. But I think it'll become a question of necessity here, because because with the medium funnel, we are relatively low. Well, let's see if we can make that work. I mean, it looks reasonably similar. We do have the gantry cranes here for the lifeboats, so that's all right. Okay, we've got the cranes actually on the hull, so that's fine. And it'll be a single funnel, and then pretty much nothing in the middle. So relatively compact. And we want a 21 knot speed and standard crew quarters. Now let's see if we can get the engine efficiency to sort out. Now these things would have had oil fuel, so that's already a bit better. We can go for forced boilers, and we were going to geared turbines, but that's still below Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with this slightly anachronistic watchtower behind it, because it's not that I have anything to put in the middle here anyway, so I may as well. We've got forward weight offset quite significant, so we can move that all backwards a bit, if we can, that is. That's how far we can move it back. And we can move the superstructure back to here. And obviously I can't move that gun anywhere because it sits on the barbette that's part of this thing. But that looks reasonably like a Nevada class for now. She did have a fair amount of secondaries though, so let me check how many there were. There was a bit of a quirky layout with a secondary somewhere. 1920s configuration would have been 21 secondaries. Most of them would be 5-inch casemates, so 5-inch single barrel casemates. It's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and she had, I think, a single one somewhere in the rear, and then 2 hanging around in the 2 hanging around topside. Given that we can't actually mount the casemates topside because, you know, they're casemates, we can, however, do single barrel 15-inch turrets, 5-inch turrets, because we do have a couple of mounts here, so why not like that? Let me double check where these went. Yep, I think that's something we can work with. So terrible forward weight offset, but for some reason we can't move the, we can't, oh, because it sits on the it effectively sits on the part of the forecastle here. So what we can do is we can start moving everything else back, and this is how far back we can actually get this thing. So there's not an awful lot of wiggle room we have. We can move the tower a little back, but I don't think we can get that down there, no. So this engine spaces are going as far backwards as it gets, which is a bit of an issue in terms of forward weight offset with this design. The alternative would be to use this funnel, but even that I don't think I can fit that, because I can't fit the rear mast any closer. And I don't think even with the funnel without the watchtower, I'm not getting them down there on the deck, no. So this is as far backwards as it goes, which means we'll have to twiddle with things again. What we possibly can do, instead of putting these forward, is to see if we can put them aft somewhere. That'll help a little bit. So we get the 5-inch single barrel. Can I fit them onto these things? I mean, there is a mount here, but I can't fit it on there. Okay, so we could fit a singular 5-inch somewhere. We can't fit anything there. We could fit them next to it, which wouldn't be quite correct. So we could fit one in the middle here, just like that. Would that help with the forward weight offset? Only marginally. Okay, so then maybe we'll leave these 5-inchers out on the on these platforms. We'll leave them out from here, and then the rest we'll have to deal with armor-wise. Okay. So let's get to the other bits. These were somewhat more modern. So we will just go reasonably, just reasonable things. They did, however, have the all or nothing scheme. This is, sorry, that was in the Citadel here. All or nothing armor scheme, yeah. They were the first ones to introduce this, because at that time the Americans had become wise to the fact that plunging fire was a thing. So we will give her, we'll reserve the most modern armor for the newer ones. We'll give her that, but decent barbettes and a reasonably decent torpedo protection, double bottom hull, reinforced, and a decent anti-flooding. Still have to leave some room for the more modern variants, because we are still got a couple of standard battleships to build until we're in 1920. Standard ratio on shells, increased HE on the secondaries. I can't quite remember how I set these up last time, so let's get the caliber right first. The secondaries currently are 43. Pretty sure it was less than that. What do we have? The length, the barrel length, 51. Actually, more than that. There were 51. Oh yeah, these were still the long ones. They hadn't done the dual purpose ones yet. So these would have been. These would have not the diameter. Nope. The barrel length, Terry. These would have been, and that gets them to 48s, which is close as it gets. But the big guns were quite chubby. Gets stubby. We're talking 45 caliber length on the 14-inchers. So we'll have to see what we have to remove there here. That gets it 48. That gets it down to 47. 46. 45. There we go. 14-inch, 45 guns. And then that gets us back to propellant, cordite, and TNT. What shells were we setting with the New Yorks? I can't remember. I think we just had standard shells. Well, let's have a quick look, because one of the design principles for these things was that they should be protected against the penetration of their own shells. So let's put the armor in as it was, and then we'll go and deal with the additional displacement that we have, because these things had a bit more armor. So we've got a 13.5-inch main belt. We had what did that taper down to? I think 8 inches. So we've got 8-inch fore and aft, and then up to 6.25 inches on the main deck. So let's make that 6.5, and then I think fore and aft deck were thinner, so we'll put them to 3 for now. Conning tower would have been 16, and we're going with like a 3-inch superstructure maybe. And then the inner, I have no idea what that would have been. I'm just going to throw everything we can onto the Citadel armor. We'll see. It makes this a little bit more survivable. Because the all or nothing scheme does allow for a fair amount, and we're actually too big. Okay. I think we've been too generous then. My gosh, that's a lot of armor that it allows us to put in here. That's probably excessive. So let's make that 3, 1.5 and 1 maybe. And we're making, I mean, we've got 13.5-inch belt. So let's make that maybe 6, 4 and 3. How does that look? Okay, now I'm getting relatively close here with this distribution actually. So that would be a relatively reasonable armor layout. Turret face were 18, I believe. And we're probably going to give it like 6-inch on the top. Barbettes were 13-inch, so that's that. And with that, we actually have a reasonably well-armored ship. The deck isn't quite as well-armored as I would like it to be, but I think we're getting there. And obviously we do have decently modern armor here on that account. We do need to put a rangefinder, however. So let's just go with what we have. That doesn't throw us off just yet. And just the regular radio. That does throw us off, however. So we are going to have to be a little less generous here. Let's put that down to 5 inches, 3 and 2. How's that? Yeah, that gives us a little bit. And there we go. What have we forgotten? The torpedo launchers. Yes, unfortunately we have forgotten the torpedo launchers. But that allows us to deal a little bit with the weight offset. Now we still have a 14% forward weight offset, which is quite dreadful, to be honest. So actually I think this is a little excessive as well for the casemates. Let's do it like that. What else do we have? Obviously 20-inch torpedoes, which makes them a little larger. And we are just going to go with the regular things here. But I still haven't figured out what I want to put in the shells here though. So we would like our guns to be able to penetrate at reasonable ranges what armor we have, or inversely be protected against it. So we've got 128%. So we've got a main belt of 13.5 inches. So we're talking about 30 inches here. And we cannot penetrate 30 inches with this. What range are we talking? 10,000 meters? Maybe 10,000 meters? 7,500 sounds like a more reasonable distance. So let's go down for standard shells for now. And yeah, that looks about matching our protection pretty much. And plunging wise, we're talking almost 10 inches deck armor that we can get through, which is yeah, which we don't have, definitely not. So we may be even going to semi-ballistic, or we just leave it on standard AP shells for now. The secondaries, they need to be able to pen destroyers. So obviously the high capacity HE shells are not going to be able to do that, but if we go with max HE and we're going a little down towards penetration, that's still nowhere near enough. We could go base fuse, 5,000 meters, 1 inch is not going to be enough really. Alternatively, I mean the armor piercing on these guns can definitely pen, but I'm sort of more interested in having the high explosive do so. We could go for soft cap. I think the penetration on the high explosive isn't as great, so maybe we'll leave it as standard ratio and we use the armor piercing shells against destroyers, because that should be sufficient at 5,000 meters where they can start actually hitting them. And that allows us to set some fires with the HE shells. So high capacity HE, and that is that. Now we do still have the forward weight offset, so let's see if we can trick around a little bit with the armor here and give us a bit more deck armor on the rear to balance this out. Let's see how far we can get. So we go up to 4 inches. Okay, let's go up to 4 inches for the deck armor, and we can carefully fiddle the aft belt as well and see if we can maybe get to 9 inches of aft belt. Okay, and then we'll stick a little bit more in the aft deck, and 4.2 inches aft deck, and there we go. So we have a reasonably well-rounded, a reasonably well-armored, and a reasonably well-armed Nevada class. First of the standard type battleships, for real this time. And yeah, looking good. So I think the rest of the standard type is going to be a lot of variation on this design, but at least the gun layout is a bit different. So there's that. Anyway, that's it for me today. Thanks everybody, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.